Have I told you I had this recent learning? It was actually from a video of Alex Hermosi, but every post doesn't need a CTA. It needs connection. Inspired by Alex Hermosi on this, but CTA fatigue is real. And if you build trust, value, and authority, they will know how to find you. So, ending every social media post or even blogs or email newsletters with CTA, CTA, CTA. And for those that don't know what a CTA is, call to action. But the bigger conversation is around, does every single piece of content you put out, whether it's a blog, email, social media, video, whatever, does it all need to be like, here's how to find me, or click the link in the bio, or all the nonsense? And I hadn't really thought about it. I just kind of felt like that's what social media was there for, was to give them a way to engage. Just like when you go to a website, there's always a need for a call to action. Otherwise, people get to your website and they're like, what do I do? So I think it's important to have call to actions, but not on every post, not on every email, not on every video. It's just gotten overly done. And so here's what happened. When we recently stopped ending every post with a sales pitch, there was less pressure and more engagement, and ironically, more leads. People started feeling like our content was useful and high value and wasn't just a constant sales pitch. And I remember saying to my social media manager, I don't know, a month ago or so, I said, stop selling. We don't need to sell everything we have. That's what our website is for. And that's what salespeople are for, like myself. I had been saying this for a while, but then I see this video of Alex Hermosi, which I'm sure found me because my Apple Watch listens to everything I say. And then it puts content in front of me that is appropriate to what I'm thinking about at that point. It's a whole other conversation. But for some reason, the video found me and it just validated what I was already telling my social media team. I was honestly starting to get the ick on myself because I'm like, God, this is just obnoxious. Like every other post, or every post in some cases, were sales, 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 buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that, click here, click there. And I think what I really want to do for the back half of 2025 in our content and in our strategy is educate, inspire, entertain to a degree, and provide really high value content. And as Alex Hermosi mentions in his video, and if I can find the video, I'll tag it to this video. But he basically talks about, if you continue to focus your content strategy on what really matters, which is building trust, value, and authority, then they will find you. And I know firsthand, there's certain people that I've stalked on social media because I just find them to be really high value and definitely useful for my business and my own learning. And I will Google search them. If they don't have a call to action very obviously within whatever I'm watching, most of the time they have their link in bio on their profile. They'll more than likely have their website posted somewhere, or who's giving the video or the content or the email or the newsletter or the blog. You can just look them up. It's pretty straightforward how to find people these days. I mean, everyone has a digital fingerprint online. So I think his point was, stop belaboring the sales pitch and the call to action, because it just deflates the content and it also cheapens it, and it feels like a sales pitch. And like I said, I got the ick on myself, and it's hard enough showing up every day on social media, but when you're just constantly pitching, it's also just obnoxious. So we're not doing that anymore. And most of the time I learn things just from trial and error. I do them and then I realize I don't like that. Or if I like something, I do more of that and stop doing the things I don't like. So this new generation of content, hopefully you'll start to see this come through in all of our posts in all platforms or all channels of content. We're leading with value-led posts because we know that that builds trust. We don't gatekeep here. I'll give you as much as I know about any one topic. And then even if I don't give it all in, let's say, a video or a podcast or a blog, if you reach out to me, I'm happy to continue the conversation. Drop me a DM or comment, and I'm happy to engage in a conversation. So I feel like, again, basing this entirely on the guidance and wisdom of Alex Hormozy, who I've just recently started reading and learning about in the last, like, let's say, year and a half. I've really modeled a lot of my 2025 strategy around two of the books he's put out. He's got a book called, is it 100 million offer or 1 million? I think it's 100 million offer. So I've read that front to back. I've also listened to the Audible. I also have the playbook or the workbook on it. And then also a book called 100 million leads. He says, in his strategy, they really went away from selling. In the old world of my sales leadership days, I used to say selling is not selling. So if you're just showing up and spewing just nonsense all day long and you're not actually giving any value, or you're not building trust or authority, and you don't have any appearance of knowing what you're talking about, people will dip. But if you're constantly focusing on give, and then ultimately maybe ask or maybe send them to your website so that they can learn more about you, or reference that all of the information, if they need to get a hold of you, is in your bio. But I think this constant cadence of sell, post, CTA, is just, it's old. It's dated. It's a strategy that's no longer working. Like I said in the beginning, everyone has CTA fatigue. And if they feel like they're being pitched constantly, they're just going to tune out. So the one exception for this CTA conversation is if you're doing a paid ad, obviously, you're going to be asked for a link or something to send your traffic to. So that is an exception. If you're doing paid ads, that is the one time you should be selling an offer, a service, a product, and you're ultimately going to send them to a landing page or a checkout link or a free download or whatever it is you're selling. So I think on paid ads, it's definitely appropriate. Another area it's appropriate is lead magnets. So oftentimes we'll build free value in a digital download, which is just our way of providing value to our audience and also building trust and authority. And lastly, like bringing them into the conversation. So once they've opted into one of our downloads, they're now in direct communication with us via email. And I just think that's a much better strategy because social media is fleeting and not everyone's on social media on a daily basis. But when you have their email, there's a much bigger conversation you can have one-on-one with that individual. And I think if they're opting in, they're showing interest. And that is a warm lead versus a cold lead, which is 100% of the audience on social media. Okay. The other, let's say, last two areas that you could use CTAs fruitfully versus what we've been doing, which is CTA on everything, would be Pinterest. If you're on Pinterest, I think the number one thing you do there is post something really aesthetically pleasing. So it pulls up as a pin. And then you have inevitably in the description, there's an area for a link. I think that's just a search engine, an aesthetically pleasing search engine. I use it a lot for work because we're in the brand world. And so we design a lot of mood boards in Pinterest. But I also think that there's quite a few people searching, just like they are on YouTube. They're searching for things. And if you have something, let's say we have social media templates that we've built, our design team has built those. So it's very different than Canva. That's something that I think the Pinterest audience would want to know about. And we absolutely promote those on Pinterest and also put a link to purchase those directly. Same with stories. Instagram stories are people that already follow you. So the trust and authority and brand awareness has already been built. So that's the perfect opportunity. We call it the bottom of the funnel. Stories are the bottom of your funnel. And that is the perfect opportunity to include a link. In fact, Instagram stories lets you include a link. So I would highly recommend if you're posting on stories, don't just post noise. I think that's the most appropriate place for a CTA to land is in your stories. But like I said, in paid ads, Maybe you put a lead magnet link in your YouTube description or in your captions. Those are all fine, but let's move away from just this active check my link in bio, blah, 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 to activate today, do this and that. People are just burnt out on being sold. And I think people want real value and they're looking for people who know what they don't. And those are the people that get the engagement. Those are the people that get the reach, the views, all the things that ultimately serve your content well. So thank you to Alex Hermosi for putting that in my brain and kind of reinforcing what I think I already knew, which was no CTA, no problem. Just continue focusing on high value, entertaining, educational, inspirational content. And ultimately, that really is tuned in to your clients and the voice of your customers, because that is ultimately what's going to land. And you don't need to sell in every post.